Good evening, good morning, good day, wherever you are in the world, and thank you so much for once again for joining another live stream from a home in Italy. My name's David Benton, if you don't already know, and together with my wife Silvana, we've been helping overseas buyers buy, restore, relocate over here in Italy for the last nearly 20 years. So thank you for joining us, and make sure you do every single Thursday. We're live streaming on Facebook and on YouTube. It's always a little bit strange for me, the start of these live streams, because you only gradually see people coming in. So I do see a few people now coming in from YouTube. I can't see any people from Facebook just yet, but usually there is a bit of a delay. So yeah, write in that chat box. Let us know where you are in the world. And let's just make sure that we're not just sat here talking to ourselves. When I say we, that's because Tony is back. We've actually given him a new title now, rather than just the usual pain in the title. He's actually become producer now. Reason why you're going to hear loads of sound effects and things today. Now I've said that, but we have actually decided to give him a new title of producer, just to try and make him feel a little bit important. But just for those of you who don't know, Tony is the man in the background that puts some of your questions forward. So if you do have any questions throughout the stream, then please feel free to add them to the stream, and we will obviously try and get around as many people as possible. But it has to be regarding tonight's subject, and tonight's subject is foreign exchange. And as I mentioned before, we have a good friend of mine, David Nixon from Currencies Direct, who's going to come in shortly in the next 5 minutes or so, and be giving you some really good tips about when it comes to the time to exchange funds, whether you're buying here in Italy or anywhere in Europe or anywhere in the world for that matter. Obviously, he's going to give you some great tips on how to save potentially thousands. So we'll go into that a little bit more when he comes on. So let's just tell you a little bit about next week, because there's a possibility that next Thursday we may not be doing our live stream. Purely selfish personal reason, because my son has his Holy Communion next weekend, so I have lots of family and everybody else coming over. So depending how things go, because a few of my nieces and nephews are coming, and no doubt this little studio I have here would just be inundated with people, or no doubt sort of doing a few tricks on me and things like that. So whether it happens next week, I'm not sure. If it does, the next one that we're going to do is a Meet the Home Buyers, where we're going to speak to a couple that bought quite a while ago and they've been restoring. So that should be a great one to come in on. So that's either going to be next Thursday. If not, we are going to push it to the Thursday after. Zach is saying, "Hi, Dave. There's 3 of us watching from Cornovaglia." Is that how you say it? One question is about the tour, and is it in September? Okay, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about that now. So if Tony can just take that question off. The producer, if he can just take that, seems a little bit slow, isn't he? Anyway, since we give him that new title, he's just drinking now. I know he is. So, a home in Italy on the road. We are doing our tour again, which we did a couple of weeks ago, on the 26th and 27th of October. So, a few people asked me what it's all about, how it all works. So basically, we get together on the day before, the 25th. If you're coming in from the UK, we collect from Pescara Airport and take you to the center of Pescara, where there's a number of hotels where you can feel free to book. And basically what we do, we have an aperitivo on the Wednesday evening, and we have a little bit of a wander around Pescara just to show you the coastline. And then on the Thursday and the Friday, we take you around a number of towns and villages, exploring in what, in my opinion, is the best parts of Abruzzo. And we also see a number of houses along the way as well. The great thing about these group trips is you get to meet lots of other people that are doing the same thing, hopefully make some new friends. We tend to take groups of around anything between sort of 15 and 18 around. It includes all the tours for both days. It includes your aperitivo on the first night, and it includes lunch on the Thursday and lunch on the Friday. And they are great lunches. And obviously, we're there as well, and Tony usually shows up on these. So it is a great time, and that's, so I say, it's going to be the 26th and 27th of October. Now, places are pretty much, I think we have about 5 spaces left for that date. So it's looking very likely that we'll also be doing another one in October, which would potentially be the 12th and 13th of October. I will confirm that with you next week, this time next week. But if you are interested in joining us, then please send me an email to the info@homeinitaly.com. A few people have done that, and I've sent information to you, and a few people have got back to me with their confirmation and their name and addresses. So you'll be hearing from me in the next couple of days. Anybody that is interested, the price is $295 per person. That doesn't include flights and accommodation, unfortunately, but it does include your travel for the 2 days while you're with us. It does include your 2 lunches and the aperitivo on the Wednesday night. So they are great things. So if you want to book the 26th or 27th, then please use the email address that is down here below, which is the info@homeinitaly.com. Send me confirmation of how many people, and also we need your address and mobile telephone number. And then we will raise an invoice for the deposit and obviously confirm your space. If you have already sent me your details, then don't worry, you will be hearing from me over the next couple of days. And then, as I say, next week I will confirm whether we're also going to be doing the 12th and 13th of October, but it is looking highly likely that we are doing. So hopefully you can join us on that, because they are great things. Okay, I wasn't going to do it, but Tony's given me the permission. He's sort of, I am looking at him now in the other camera, and he has given me the permission. I need to have a little bit of a moan, and he told me not to moan. So I've got a couple of things to moan about tonight. I can't remember what they are now, but anyway, I'm gonna start it off. I am in a little bit of a mood because, as you can probably hear, I've got a little bit of a cold, and you know, us men get colds. You know, man flu. Am I allowed to say that? Can I say man flu, Tone? Is that allowed in these days? Oh, he's nodding his head. I think so. Yeah. So there you go. Anyway, what am I going to moan about? A couple of things. First of all, when it comes to properties that are going on our YouTube channel, in fact, no, let me moan about something else first, because it's a little bit more relevant. I get so much support for these streaming sessions. It's absolutely fantastic, and I cannot thank you all enough for the amount of support that I get. But as we know, there's always one or two little moaners in this that I look at some of the comments I probably shouldn't do on YouTube, and some people saying, can't you just get on with the subject? Well, I like to talk, and I like to give these announcements, and I know lots of people join us week in and week out and appreciate these announcements. If you're watching a recorded version, this isn't, because it's live. I suppose I'll be saying that on the... Anyway, if you are, just fast forward. Simple as that. I usually talk and moan for 10 minutes, and then we start the subject. So if I've already moaned too much, 7 minutes and 40 seconds already gone, fast forward it a little bit, and then you can get rid of me. Okay, that's first moan. That's out the way. Second, it's not really a moan, but I wanted to tell you a little bit about the video properties that we do. We have been releasing videos every Saturday afternoon, round about sort of 4 p.m. Italian time, 4 or 5 p.m. Italian time. When we add these videos to YouTube, they are extremely popular. They do get lots of views. And I must be honest with you, the vast majority of properties, certainly of us up to a certain price, tend to get snapped up straight away as soon as the video is released. And I do get some people contacting me saying, I can't believe that one's gone. I don't know any other way to do this other than the way that we are doing it at the minute, which is when we release a video, we do not give anybody first glance at the video. We just release them, usually on a Saturday, but it can be other times through the week as well. What I would suggest is, if you are subscribed to our channel, then you also need to click the notification bell. If you click that, as soon as we put any content on, because we are going to be putting a lot more content on over the next couple of weeks, then you're going to obviously get first opportunity to see that, but you'll also see the property video straight away as well. What we do, even though it's a Saturday and we're actually closed, I usually release the videos on a Saturday, because, to be honest with you, it's the best time to get people's attention. People aren't working, and I always do it at a reasonable time where most people in the world will be awake. And then, if people are interested, we always write on the video to contact us at info@homeinitaly.com to register their interest. On the Monday, one of us checks all the emails that we've got and puts everything in date and time order. Obviously, that's easy to do on emails. The first person is the one that we contact, and then it goes down the list. So it's just unfortunate. It's not unfortunate. It's a great thing that these properties get snapped up, and so there should be. But unfortunately, there are going to be disappointed people as well. But I don't want you to just think that the only good properties are the video properties, because they're not. There's lots of fantastic properties here. I get lots of people saying, we're coming out with you soon, but you seem to be selling all your properties. Don't know if it's you shouldn't really be thinking like that, because there's lots of great properties, and I don't get to video all the back sort of catalogue of houses, if you like, because it does take a little bit of time. Even though they're not professional videos, but it does take time, and I tend to do it on new properties as they're coming in. But that is the only fair way. So if you are interested in a video property, please just email us at info@homeiniitaly.com, and we will contact people in the order that we've been contacted. That to me is the fairest way. I'm not into doing any of these clubs where people pay and sort of become part of a special club where we'll contact you before anybody else. I just don't like that sort of thing. I never have done. I'm not interested in doing that type of thing. And also what we don't do is get into price battles. If somebody puts an offer in for a property, you know, depending whether it's the private sale or whether it's through Domenico, was the guy I use a lot around the Sulmona area. It never gets into price battles. So it's never going to be a situation where you put an offer in and then, you know, the owner gets contacted with that offer and then say somebody else has put in another €1,000. We're just not into that at all. Just being asked, how many videos do you usually release on a Saturday? More than one? Not usually. No, this Saturday maybe two, but usually one. If I am going to do a second, that usually follow. I usually try and space them apart a few days at a time. But as I say, if you don't get one of the video properties, don't be disappointed, because there are lots of fantastic properties and they come up all the time. So as I say, I do hope you realize the way we do it is the fairest way, in my opinion. So Wendy is saying, we saw amazing properties that were on a video and ones that were never on a video. Dave has so many. It's true. Good to see you again, Wendy, as well. So yeah, and that's the way it is. There's lots of great properties. Okay, so that wasn't really a moan, was it? So I don't think it was. Was that a moan, Tony? Would you say? Tony, he's all happy now with his. I think he's put a tie on, actually. Now I've called him a producer. Anyway, let's get on with tonight's subject, which is basically we're going to be taught how to potentially save thousands on foreign exchange with our resident expert, who I can see now is sitting up straight and getting ready for me. The great thing is inside his office. So sometimes we may get some people walking by in the background, and you know, one of these days I'm going to play a trick on him and just call his office up and just get them to do a few things in the background. But if they do, apologies now if anything happens. So let's bring David Nixon in, and let's get talking about foreign exchange and how all of this works. Good evening, sir.
How are you doing?
Good, thank you. Very, very good. You okay?
I'm a little bit sleep deprived if I need to have a moan at anything, but that's only because I have two very sick kids under 3 at home at the moment. So delighted to be in the office. And not only that, you know that I'm from Newcastle originally in the United Kingdom, and we've got a massive game in a couple of hours. So this is a welcome distraction from that, I have to say. So thanks for having me on.
Completely forgot about that. I suppose you must be on your own, because you're based in the US, aren't you? So I suppose you must be on your own when it comes to. You don't call it soccer now. You've moved over there, do you?
Oh, I do have some fraudulent slips from time to time where the word soccer will come out. So yeah,
I think there should be a ban on. There's so many bans going off around the world. Things you're not allowed to say. Nobody should be allowed to say soccer. It's not.
I agree.
So, David, tell us a little bit. I mean, obviously, I know about you, but the company is Currencies Direct. Just to let everybody know, once you've listened to David today, hopefully you like what he's going to say. There is a link in the comments of this video that you can follow through and open a free account. And I think there's a link also in the chat. But David, tell us, I know you're originally from the UK. Tell us where you're actually based now and a bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I am originally from Newcastle, like you said. Finished university. I went to live in Spain for a number of years before eventually making my way over to the United States. Interestingly enough, I was actually offered the job with Currencies Direct in 2013. I didn't have the correct visa to start working for them then, so I had to quickly find myself an American girl to marry, which I did very, very quickly. That got me in the door at Currencies Direct, and I started work here in 2014. So a big expat community here in Florida. So our services fit very, very, very nicely alongside a lot of international investors that are either buying or selling property in Florida. And it is the #1 area for foreign investment anywhere in the world. So a huge, huge part of what I do is actually dealing with people with assets here in the United States. However, more and more Currencies Direct have seen a lot more people from this side of the pond purchasing properties in Europe, as well as the fact that our headquarters is in London. So we're dealing with a lot of people from the UK, for example, that have investments in Spain, Portugal, France, Australia, New Zealand, wherever you have it. So Currencies Direct has been around since 1996, so we've been in business for a very, very long time. We have a lot of global offices around the world. And like I said, luckily enough, our US office is based in Florida. So delighted to be here and part of our team.
Brilliant, brilliant. So apart from the fact that they use the word soccer, I presume you do like living there rather than sunny Newcastle.
Yeah, so I mean, I love living in Spain. Hopefully that'll be the place where my heart retires. However, this is a great place, obviously, to be career-wise. There's a lot of opportunity in the United States, especially in what I do as a business. And the fact that, you know, my wife is American and my kids are going to have American accents. You know, I'm now an American citizen, so I'm very, very proud to be here and don't see myself leaving for a good decade or two yet. So
brilliant. And when you do, don't go to Spain. You need to come to Italy. It's a lot better.
Well, you are convincing me. You are convincing me over time, I have to say.
Brilliant, brilliant. So just to put, I mean, obviously we're not just talking to Americans tonight. We're talking to anybody from all over the world. Let's just, the thing that I found really strange is coming from the UK and doing the exhibitions that we used to do in the UK before COVID and things like that. The exhibition halls for when we used to do the overseas property shows and things like that, they used to be full of FX dealers. You couldn't, people like yourself, when we say FX, obviously we're talking foreign exchange. So people like yourself, every other stand was an FX dealer. Everybody wanted our business because they want to obviously business from our clients that are buying and the rest of it. Now I would say I'm dealing with probably 80%, if not more, clients from the US. And it seems to be seen a completely different way, even to the sense that people don't even know what an FX company is and how they work. People seem to be sort of very committed to using banks and that kind of thing. What would you say to those sorts of people? You know, if we're really coming to the basics, what is it that you do and why should they use you rather than a bank?
Yeah, so listen, this doesn't just go for Currencies Direct. This goes for every single company in our industry. We're going to beat the bank on exchange rate pretty much every single time. So when you think about price, when you think about exchange rate, our rates are going to beat the rates that are offered by a bank. So that is going to save you potentially 2 or 3%. And when you're transferring, 200, 300,000, that can make a huge difference in the amount of money that you actually achieve on that other side. The second thing that people use this for is for security. So whenever Currencies Direct has your funds, we're responsible for 100% of the proceeds, and we're responsible for making those payments to where you need them to go. So from a security standpoint, unlike a bank that only has to insure X amount of funds that are held on account, Currencies Direct, we have to ensure the whole amount of funds involved in any one transaction. So from a security standpoint, what we do as a business is obviously very, very regulated. We make sure that we can make fast, efficient payments without any delay. So the third reason why people should use this is just typically our transfers are faster. And if there are any delays in the process for whatever reason, we're able to go in there, discover what they are, and then make corrections to them to make payments on. So people may be supplying us the wrong account details by accident. Someone might put a wrong digit here or there. We're able to help those clients in that situation. And what sets Currencies Direct apart from all of the other companies out there, when you're talking about somebody on every other different stand, a lot of these companies have reverted to a lot of technology, which means that great, you can go online, you can book the transfer, get on with it with yourself. However, again, with these really large transactions, we find that people typically like to have that person to talk to make sure that they're doing everything right, to make sure that, they understand the process from start to finish. So I think from our point of view, where we've doubled down as a company is on personal service, making sure that people have somebody to talk to when they need somebody to talk to. And from our partnerships point of view, obviously, we're very, very invested in you and your business. So, we want to make sure that we're offering a good service to your clients so that you have me on and on and on and on again and again and again, so we can explain these benefits to your clients. And I think that we've now got a really solid track record of working together, where we've managed to get a lot of transfers over the line. We've managed to assist a lot of people, not just from the USA, but also from the UK. And I think that I can stand behind our customer service, and especially my relationship with you, to make sure that these transactions go down without any hitches whatsoever, which is, I think, really, really important for you and, of course, your clientele as well.
100%. No, it's a huge output for us. And obviously in turn a huge help for the clients. One of our mutual I hate saying clients, friends, Lewis.
I know, of course.
Just said that you're a great person, which is superb. Lewis is using us quite a lot at the moment. There it is. David Nixon is the real deal. So yeah, I mean,
well
it is.
But I'm not very good at taking compliments.
But we've always said that when we first had the discussion, because that I used to deal with another FX company for a long time, and he was a great friend of mine, still is. I'm not quite sure what happened with the company, and sort of things moved on because he couldn't deal with clients from the US, and we were obviously getting a lot of clients from the US. But when we spoke originally, I remember saying to you that the main thing for me is not to deal with 10, 20 people. I want to deal with one person who I know that I can trust and that will do right for the client and the rest of it. And that's why this relationship, which is great. So really getting it down to Raphael's mentioning something here. We are going to talk about people like TransferWise and all the new cards that are out and things like that, just to go through what the difference is. But before we do that, cutting it down to basics even more, let's just explain to people right from the beginning. The first thing to do is to open an account with you, isn't it? It's quite easy to do. The links in the comments below. It doesn't cost anything or anything like that. The great thing with you doing these shows is you've agreed with me, and I know I text you at some godly hours sometimes, that if any of our clients really don't understand what it's all about, you personally will speak to them, which for me is a huge thing. I know then it gets passed to other people once it starts, which they're great people as well, once the actual dealing starts. But I know you will go through how things work. But for somebody that hasn't got a clue, even after doing this live streaming of 22 minutes, they still don't know what you do. Explain. Let's say I'm going to say American, but I could be from the UK, from Australia, from wherever. But I'm sat in the USA at the minute. I'm thinking I'm going to buy a house in Italy through the best people anyway. We're going to spend 100,000 on a property. Dave has explained that I need to send that 100,000 to the notary's office. And I'm sat there thinking, okay, so what do I do? Do I go to my bank? What happens? What do you do?
So first of all, that initial conversation is always a good idea. Not everybody takes me up on that offer, but I am always available. I love talking about what we do. So I'm really, really excited to get to speak to anybody who is interested. So one thing that I can do is explain your options over the telephone. But then if you are ready to go ahead with this, I can actually set you up with an account over the telephone. I can send you the track link where you can open an account. And typically, people require a proof of address and a proof of ID to register for an account. Obviously, we're a serious financial services firm, so we do need to know our clients, and that allows us to obviously make these swift transfers internationally on their behalf. Once the account is open, you'll get a designated account manager. This is somebody that you can call if you're not comfortable going online to do transfers yourself. You can, again, agree exchange rates over the telephone with them. You can confirm where you're sending the money. You can decide to hold funds on account with us. You can target future rates. We've got a number of products like a forward contract that can really help mitigate your risk. But if somebody just wants to go ahead and lock in a rate, let's just say they wanted to buy 92,000 euros, we would agree an exchange rate on the telephone. As a company, we go ahead and buy your 92,000 euros for you, and then we simply give you a few days then to send the required dollars to our account in the USA to make that basically transfer whole. As soon as we've got those funds, we then can release them to wherever you want them to go when you say you want them to go. So particularly when we're dealing with closings, I know you like to have those funds transferred on closing day. We can liaise in the background. I can make sure that the funds go out completely on time. And once they're on time, I can give you the payment confirmation just to make sure everybody in the process who's receiving the funds is completely comfortable. Yep. So from, again, the client's point of view, it's just, listen, are we doing things the right way? We want to find out where your funds are, because potentially somebody could be wanting to use funds from a business account. Sometimes potentially people would want to use funds from a brokerage account, and then we can basically get all of the steps taken place way before the actual transaction takes place, just so everybody's ready for when they have to go. Everybody who's involved in the process is ready to go. However, if you want to go online and do everything yourself, our technology online is very, very good. But like I said, people do prefer to have human contact, people they can reach out to, just to make sure that that side of things is taken care of. So generally speaking, in this example, after we've said and done everything, opened the account, the US client generally just needs to send their US dollars to a US dollar based account here in the USA. And it's as simple as that. Not just US clients, we've got people, I think I saw you from Poland. We have lots of clients in Poland. So again, if you're doing Polish zloty to euro, that's something that we can help with. And like I said, as our primary bread and butter is in the UK, where our headquarters is based in Canary Wharf. So that's where I would say the majority of my clients are, because obviously these are people that have invested here in the US.
So basically, so in a nutshell then, basically an FX company, if I'm sending money from my currency to another currency, I have two choices, maybe more, I don't know, but I could either go to my bank, and what you're saying is, let's say, for instance, I need 100,000 euros. They may turn around, I'm just throwing figures now, and say, okay, for you to have 100,000 euros, that's going to cost you 110,000 pounds, for instance, or $110,000, or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Then they ring an FX company up, hopefully you, and say, David, right, okay, I need 100,000 euros. These people have told me it's going to cost me 110,000 of my currency. You would then, I know you can't guarantee it, but there's a good chance that you can save 2 to 3%, which at the end of the day is 2 or 3 grand. So instead of it costing them 110,000, it's going to cost them 107,000 or 108,000. They then transfer, once they've done a deal with you over the phone vocally, stop me if I'm saying anything wrong, but once they've done a deal with you, you would then say, okay, you need to send us that 107,000 pounds or dollars or whatever it is to this account, which is obviously the same in the same currency as what I'm sending it to, and then you do the exchange and you hold it or send it to wherever it needs doing. Is that right?
So we're actually not using a client's money to do the exchange. We're using our own money to do that. So as soon as somebody gives us the authorization on a recorded telephone line, then basically what happens is we're using our funds. We buy the euros in advance. So we're sitting there, the rate is locked in, it's never going to change. And that gives the person the comfort then to go into their bank and say, I need to send this exact amount of dollars to this account, and off they go, if you like. So again, a very, very quick and simple process on that front for sure.
Sorry, that's very unprofessional, isn't it? Having my telephone. I'll just take this call. Just hang on a minute. That's my daughter, actually. She knows I do this every Thursday. Anyway, so okay, perfect. So we're at the point now of pretty much saying that you will do it at a cheaper price than a traditional bank. Let's go into a few things that you mentioned before about, obviously, as you know, sometimes we do deals where people will send the money while I'm actually sat in the notary's office. You guys do a brilliant service for that, because I never used to do that kind of thing before, because for me, it was just too risky, hoping that somebody sends the money and all the rest of it. You guys have been absolutely brilliant for that, to be able to send the money while I'm sat there and do the deals. For me, the big thing for your services is to get things organized well before. I'm a terrible last minute person. And I know you mentioned before we came on here that I think that's probably the impression that I've given you as well. And I do tend to do things last minute. but really the strengths of what you do and a few signings that we've got coming up soon, where the money is already sat in place. You've done the deal. You've actually got them a great rate. Unfortunately, the dollar started to go a little bit weak compared to what it was. They locked in a brilliant rate. And that is really what it's all about, isn't it? Planning and that kind of stuff. So if I'm, let's say, some of these people that are maybe buying a property off a video, or that maybe come out to see a property, it's going to take a couple of months before things get sorted out. So I'm sat there now. I've just got myself a great bargain property, but I now shouldn't just sit there and think, okay, I'll change the money later. We should be speaking to you, shouldn't we? And saying, where are we at the minute? What options have you got for those people who come to you and say, in 2 months, David, I'm doing a signing, but I've noticed that the dollar or the pound or wherever it is getting quite strong at the minute. What do you do for these people?
So let's just say the client has the funds available. What we can do is obviously a spot transaction where they can exchange their pounds, for example, to euros, and then hold the euros on account for as long as they need, ready for us to make the payment. So that's one option that a lot of people like to do. Very, very simple when they've got funds available. I think this is a good option for people that have maybe looking to close within the next 30 days or so. A really good product that a lot of your clients have used is something called a forward contract. Now, a forward contract is basically an opportunity to lock in today's rate for up to 24 months for a 10% deposit. People love this particular product because it just takes all of the risk out of the sort of FX transfer, if you like. Being able to lock in that rate, not have to send all the funds so they can sit still wherever they're sitting under whatever bank account they may be in. And just from a simple point of view, like we're living in a very, very volatile world where the exchange rate is going up and down all the time, I think it's a really sensible thing for somebody to do to allow them to go shopping with a specific kind of budget. I think if we've just I was looking back at a webinar we did, maybe at the end of last year, I think it was, or last summer, where the exchange rate was somewhere in the region for US dollars, where $1 was actually equaling 1.04 euros. Absolutely unbelievable, opportunity then for a lot of people to lock in a forward contract for up to 2 years. But as you've seen, that rate has declined quite considerably since. And there's nothing to suggest that something like that might not happen in the future. When you consider of all of the different political events that are going on right now in the US, we've got loads of worries about the debt ceiling. If we talk about things like in Europe, like there's still a war going on, not so far away. We've got issues in the UK with, a slow growing economy, for example. All of these things, although they're priced into the market right now, can change with the drop of a hat, if you like. So if you think that the debt ceiling may be resolved in the US soon, if that happens, then that's definitely going to, alter the rate slightly. If there isn't an agreement, or it goes on and on and on, you're going to see lots and lots of volatility in the next 15 days if there isn't a surprise agreement on that coming up shortly. And that's going to affect, the entire global economy. So again, if you're worried about that sort of thing, you're looking to lock in a rate, you want to make sure that, you're looking at a property now that you can afford comfortably. You don't want to then be in a situation when it comes to closing day where there's been a 10% swing in the currency exchange rate, and all of a sudden that property might be a little bit too expensive for you. So again, lots of things. We want to make sure that isn't something that that happens with you, or you don't want to lose a client. You don't need a client or a friend, or any of those things that happens in a transaction, and that happens all the time in our industry.
Okay, so before we go back to just going back again to these forward contracts, Ursula is saying we do live in a volatile world. The US bank deposits are to a certain amount FDIC insured. What guarantee or insurance do you provide?
Yeah, 100. We're FDIC insured as well, but with 100% of the funds on account. I can tell you in the US, I believe it's 240,000 that is covered. I know that because we've had quite a few bank collapses here in the US recently, where not a single person lost their funds, but they were only insured up to a certain amount of money. With Currencies Direct, every single penny that you have on account with us has to be insured, because we're not a bank. We're classed as an e-money firm. So from our point of view, what we do as a business is obviously transfer tons of money internationally, sometimes in the millions, Last year, over $10 billion. We have to make sure that anytime we're holding a client's funds, they're 100% insured. So let's just say something happened to Currencies Direct. We would have to be able to be, liable for any funds that are held on account. So again, insurance held in the US by FDIC, in the UK by the FCA, and in Europe by the Royal Bank of Spain.
Right. So you have to actually cover. So that's a huge difference then between banks and FX companies. I didn't realize that. So that is a big thing. So every penny that somebody puts with you is completely insured. Okay.
Yeah.
So going back to this forward contract thing, because this is really interesting for me. So if somebody sat there thinking we are definitely going to buy a property in Italy next year, we're definitely going to do this. It's 100%. We're going to do it. There's no question about it. What you're saying is then I can be sat here now. Let's say, for instance, I'm not going to keep saying dollar. I know we keep saying we're not going to keep saying dollar, and then we talk about dollar again. So I'm sat in the UK. And I'm thinking to myself, well, the exchange rate, because it's been terrible recently, for quite a while now, hasn't it? Let's say by some magic sort of way, all of a sudden, the UK to euro rate suddenly goes to 120. And I think, oh, hang on a minute, I've got to get on this, but I haven't got the money yet. You know, it's going to be another 3 months. Maybe I'm selling my house, maybe whatever. I'm definitely buying this house, but I'm 6 months off or what. So you're actually saying that I can call you and say, right, David, we're at 120 now. I want to lock in 100,000 euros. I want to buy 100,000 euros, but I haven't got the money now. I want to buy 100,000 euros. So you're saying that you can lock that rate. You buy that 100,000 euros for me, but I only have to give you 20%. Is that correct?
10%, just 10% deposit. Yeah. So we hold that 10% is basically insurance. To basically make sure that, you know, we're never going to be out of the money. So let's just say something happened to you and you disappeared off the face of the planet. We could then sell the euros that we've already bought for you back into pounds, and that deposit will mitigate any losses that we might have suffered had we not have taken a deposit. Again, that doesn't happen, but it's just an example of what would happen in that case.
Because if somebody does a deal with you over the telephone, I mean, let's make this really clear to everybody that when they contact you, when you actually do a deal over the phone, that is legally binding, isn't it?
Yeah. Basically, all of our phone calls are recorded because we're talking about large amounts of money. So we never want to be in a situation where a client receives a different amount of money in their bank account that we've agreed on the telephone. So again, having that recorded is, again, just for our security, but it's also for our client security as well.
Okay, so that is a really good option. And again, the thing that we've spoken about before, and I know some of the acts, one that's coming up on Monday that we spoke about earlier, where the lady involved obviously booked her rate, sent the money that you're now holding, which is always great when I know that you guys have got the money, because I know then you guys seem to send money really quick, because coming from a bank to here. I am going to talk about the US because it was only recently. It seems to be the last 2 or 3 people that have done it from a bank here. First of all, they would have lost out on the better rate that you're going to give. But that seemed to take 3 days, which is fine. But if you are last minute or there is something, whereas you get, for some reason, your money, when you send it, it seems to be here the following day and sometimes the same day. Is there some reason for that, or is that just banks holding onto our money?
Yeah, so again, what we're doing is we're again using our own money to do the sort of the FX transactions. So let's just say in the case of someone in the USA, we've already bought the euros. The euros are sitting in euros ready to be sent wherever they need to go. All we're doing is waiting for the US dollars to hit our domestic account here in the USA. As soon as we've got them, we release the euros on the other side. So instead of, say, for example, a bank, they have to send those funds through intermediary banks. Then they're going from one country to another, and obviously that's a slow process, because that bank might not know that you're going ahead to transfer 100,000. They might have some questions along the way about, well, where's this money from? They might go back into your statements to check what the source of funds might be. So again, from that standpoint, that's where you can get these delays with the bank, and they're not proactive about it either. No bank manager is going to ring you up to say this payment's on hold or anything like that. as opposed to us. Not only, let's just say our payment is delayed, I know for a fact that you would contact me at 3 o'clock in the morning because, you know, that's just the type of individual that you are, and that's because you care about your clients. And because I care about our relationship, you've seen me, I'll reply, I'll go and open my computer up, I'll ring somebody in the London office to basically say, can you take a look at this? Let's see what's going on. So those are the types of differences between our services again
It's hugely
and the
important.
big bank.
Yeah, it's hugely important. Just to answer Lorena's, just as we finished that conversation, Tony left that question on all the time.
I know, I saw it.
Finished, he's taking it off. But yes, Lorena, yes, Australian dollar, basically any currency. Is it any currency?
Yeah, not any currency. I saw somebody asked about the Brazilian real earlier. We don't do the Brazilian real, for example. To do the Brazilian real, we'd actually need a company in Brazil, which we have no plans to do. However, Australian dollars, we have an office in the Surfers Paradise, so that's fabulous. In Australia, so we do a lot of Aussie dollar. Again, because we're a British company, we've kind of gone where the Brits went, if you like, you know. So we've got a lot of offices around Spain, Australia. We've got a new office in New Zealand, Singapore, Portugal, obviously here in Florida, Toronto. So again, from our point of view, we kind of followed the Brits outwards. And then from that, we've received lots and lots of other business just because of what we've done as a result, if you like.
Okay, so the question we've got here, I'm not sure what these these.
I know.
Okay, so what KYC? I thought it was KFC when I first saw. What we're not talking chicken. What KYC and AML information do we need to provide?
All right. Well, first of all, if you've ever had a KFC in the USA, go and try one in Europe because it's night and day. The European version is so much better. But KYC is know your client, so that's our documents. The AML is anti-money laundering. So from our point of view, when we're dealing with these big property transactions, we like to have a proof of address for you. So that can be a recent bank statement from the last 3 months. It can be a utility bill with your name and address on it. That is what we would use as your proof of address. And a proof of ID, which is typically a picture of your driver's license or a picture of your passport, for example. Those are the two KYC documents that we need. In terms of AML, let's just say it's a transaction under $1 million. Typically, in the case of your clients, we require a copy of the act or a property purchase agreement or something of that ilk, just so we can say, this is the reason for the transfer. It's a property purchase in Italy. These are where the funds are going, and that is the reason why the funds are going there. So sometimes it's going to a notaire. Some of the times it's going to a private individual who's selling a property, and that copy of the act gives us the opportunity to show our regulators, if they come asking, why did you do this transfer? We're able to say, well, we know our client and this is the reason for the transaction. So that's pretty much it from our point of view.
Just to let everybody know again, because we said we'd do this halfway through, and we're a little bit over halfway, but this that I'm just putting on now, if it'll allow me to do it, is the link. Hopefully people can see that. It should be on YouTube and Facebook. The link I've just put on to open a free account with Currencies Direct. What I will say, to be completely transparent, it is a affiliate link. That doesn't mean, and I've been assured many times by David that you get charged worse rates just so they can cover the percentage that they give to us. That doesn't happen, does it? You can tell me again that it doesn't happen. No, okay. So they get exactly the same exchange rate. The great thing is it obviously helps us and helps this channel. But the great thing for me that is worth more than any of that is when they register, if they then want to speak to you personally, then you're happy to speak to them before they get passed on to other people. And the best way to do that is to open an account. If you register everybody tonight, it's free of charge. You don't have to trade with them. You may as well open it up. Start looking into it and the rest of it. And then if you send me an email to info@home in Italy and say, Dave, I could really do with speaking to the person that was on the live stream, any chance that you can set, and you'll happily do that, won't you? So that's so please register. Even if you're not ready yet, it doesn't matter. Just register and then at least everything's done.
Just a disclaimer, definitely not between the Newcastle game between 3 and 5 tonight. I'm unavailable. And again, we do.
Right, everybody ringing tonight in 2 hours. In fact, I'm going to publish your mobile number.
Yeah, absolutely. You can do that. You can do that. And secondly, what we do as a business is we grow our business by affiliates. So basically, we we get to know people like you that we know are dealing with a lot of international clients. We think that we're going to be a really good fit with that person. And that's why we're offering revenue streams to help your business, because we don't do a lot of online advertising, because if we did, we've got a lot of people that were interested in, I'm going to Spain next week, I need to take some travel money with me. We don't need to do that. What we're doing is we're concentrating on very, very high volume, very, very low margin exchanges, which gives us a chance to really make our revenue in that aspect, as opposed to like just a lot of clients and a lot of volume.
Yeah. And let's be honest, this kind of, hopefully people see value in even what you're doing tonight, this kind of thing. This is what it's all about, isn't it? You know, two businesses coming together for one goal. You know, at the end of the day, we all need to earn a living. That goes without saying. But for me, this is the strength and why I love dealing with you guys, and hopefully you love dealing with us as well. Ursula's saying, for whatever reason, the current US administration seems very vigilant re financial and bank transactions. Are there any limits re money transfers from the US?
There isn't any limits. I've been personally involved in a couple of transactions over 10 million US dollars, so absolutely no limits on that front. What I would say is there is a level of accuracy there. So one thing that it's good for all Americans to know, if you're not physically in the USA, it can be extremely difficult to transfer your money out of the USA. There are laws within the Patriot Act, which came in after 9/11, which basically stop people from using the US banking system as a way to fund terrorism, for example. So what they decided to do was basically stop anybody whose IP address might be international from using their bank to transfer money out. So again, it's always a good time to get a good contact at your bank, to call us up to discuss options if that isn't going to be something that you're in a situation to do, where we can again give you some advice on that. Because there are a few instances in the USA, without being rude, their banking system isn't the greatest in comparative to the rest of the world. So there's a lot of issues. So again, getting to speak to us before you do anything, just to make sure everybody's on the right tracks. Because we've again had experiences with some banks that just won't send funds. So again, always good to have this great opportunity to again talk to us, let us know what your plans are, and let's just make sure that everything, if they go as you plan, is going to go correctly. And if you decide to use another company, again, feel free to ask us. We're still experts in what we do. I will definitely help anybody who might be dealing with you or in a situation down the line.
Okay, so before we sort of start to wind this up a little bit, let's just put you on the spot quickly. I don't know if you've got any tools around you that you can do this, but because you haven't got the tools, so we can't answer that question anymore. How much would it cost in US dollars, for example, for 76,000 euros?
76,000 euros. So I actually wrote something down before we came on air. So this may be like half an hour out of date, but it won't be too terrible. So right now, to get that in dollars, that would be 82,251 US dollars. So that's how it would work. If you were on a telephone call, you could lock that in, all done and dusted.
And that's how it works, isn't it? I know you don't sit there with a calculator and just sort of do that, but that's the basics of it, isn't it? If this person needs $76,000, then euros, and they would contact you, do exactly what you've just done then, and they would say, yeah, I'm happy with that rate because that beats my bank. My bank were going to charge me $84,000. You've just saved me 1,500 euros. Thank you very much. Please block that in. And off you go. And that's obviously you need the account in place and everything else. So that's how it works. So going back to what somebody else mentioned earlier about I don't like to mention sort of names in direct comparison because everybody's exchange rates change so at different times. We all know about these new cards, and I've got them, and I know you've got them as well. And I think they're fantastic, the cards where you can exchange money on your app and everything else. And you can, when you're going on your holidays, you can spend money, and it will give you the best possible bank transfer, rate, exchange rate possible at that time. Superb things. I think one of the best inventions, recent inventions for when it comes to going on holidays and things like that. Now, for somebody to say to you, so David, if your company is so good, can you beat, I'm not going to mention the company again, but can you beat one of these card companies? In my opinion, anybody that sends lots of money just using a card where you've got no contact telephone numbers, nothing else, I would be terrified. But in my opinion, again, these professionals that you guys have got, they know the market. Now, I could say, you know what, I think the US dollar's perfect how it is now. I'm going to buy it now. Whereas you guys might know something that I don't, that maybe in a couple of days this is going to. Can people have that conversation with you every now and then, and sort of, or can I say to you, look, David, if you really think this is going to go up, I've got 2 months to do it. Can I lock in a rate, for instance, and say, if it goes to, I've got pounds, I want to buy euros. If it goes to 120, can I lock in that rate, and will you buy it for me at that rate?
Yeah. So I think, let's have a look. I lost my train of thought because there was something that came up there, but a couple of things. Yeah, we have those conversations with people a lot of the times. We don't give predictions on what the market is going to do, because quite often we would end up with egg on our face. But what we will give you an understanding of is the historical movements, whether it's in the last week, the last month, and also potential announcements that might be coming up that could be either beneficial or detrimental to what you're looking to achieve. So let's just say in the last, I would say 2 or 3 weeks or so, we've seen, in the case of the US dollar again, we've seen it, improve quite considerably against the euro. So as before, it was around 0.88. Now we're back into the 0.92s, for example. That's quite a big difference in sort of exchange rate. And when we see somebody who is looking to buy euros, for example, and we know that they're looking to sell US dollars, then typically if we see a big rate move, we'll actually call them up. We'll say, listen, just to let you know, there's been a 1.5% change today, which means that, yesterday when we were quoting you, well, today it's much better. So we're very, very proactive on that front to make sure if there are things that are moving, that we can contact you at any time. And the other thing in terms of like matching other companies' rates, there are a lot of companies out there. We pretty much know what everybody else charges. So we're very, very comfortable when people do compare our services to the rates of other companies as well, because we know we're well placed, especially not because you're a partner, it's like it's a benefit that you've been referred by you, because we want to, if you refer us, we want to make sure that we do the best for your client, so that that business just continues to come down the line.
But I think that kind of service is just because I know a mutual client of ours recently said to me that they'd exchanged some money using one of these cards. They didn't do a lot of money because even they were slightly concerned. There are a lot of extra charges when you look into it. I think these cards a lot of the time are free and get the best rates up to a certain amount, and then they start charging after a certain amount. And he was really happy because he said, at the end of the day, I got a price from, I think he got a price from you guys, he got a price from somebody else, but then his card beat everybody's rate. So he was really happy with that. What he didn't think about was 3 or 4 weeks ago, when he really should have started talking to you and doing it, the rate was much better. So it's dead easy to say on that day, this day today, they beat me. Yeah, you could say that, but you could then say, but if you've got a relationship with somebody like your guys, then when it went up and peaked 2 weeks ago, even if it was just for one day, then you could have locked in that rate, couldn't you? So if I say to you, if you're saying now the dollar's at 92, whatever it is, if I said to you, right, David, if that dollar hits 95, buy me 100,000, something like that.
Yeah.
But would that, I mean, what if you don't ring me or you forget to ring me? How does that work? I can lock in a rate and what? Do you buy it automatically, or how does that work?
So 2 options for a person. They can lock in a rate. So that is, they can do what we call a limit order. They'll target their exchange rate. Let's just say for whatever reason that exchange rate hits in the middle of the night, even if it's only just for a brief moment of time. In that moment, we instantly have gone ahead and we've done the FX transfer. Everybody gets alerted. Then, of course, then you have to send your funds to Currencies Direct. You can also do something called like a price watch, if you like. So that means that if it hits your desired level, you're going to receive a text message, you're going to receive an email, and you're probably going to receive a phone call as soon as our office opens to say, just to let you know the rate's exactly where you want it to be. Do you want to go ahead and lock in an exchange rate? So again, on our part, we've got those tools to help you take advantage of the market when it is in your favor. But as we said before, we also have the tools to help mitigate any risk on your behalf as well. And like I said, as most of the clients I do spot transfers, they're also holding funds on account. So like in terms of our services, I think we've got quite a myriad of good options for people.
Brilliant. And to me, that's invaluable. That's where people, I think we get we're thinking so much about how everything's going to work, how the contract's going to work when they buy the property, getting obviously concerned about the contracts and the times coming close, and we tend to forget about things that really we should be putting a priority on, which is saving money as much as possible. We all like to try and get a little bit of discount off a house if we can, but we could be missing out on so much more just by thinking ahead and thinking, okay, let me get, as I always say, let me get my professionals in line so I know who I'm dealing with. I'm comfortable dealing with these people, and they could potentially save lots and lots of money, which for me, that's the strength. That's the strength over these cards, and I love using them and use them on a daily basis. But if I'm buying a house somewhere else, I'm not talking to an app personally, and I don't.
Yeah.
I would suggest to anybody watching this that they don't. I mean, obviously you can if you want to, but I'd rather deal with a professional. I'm no professional. Me going on that app and thinking, "Oh, that's brilliant today. That beats everybody." To me, that's completely the wrong way of doing it. So everybody, again, if you can look on the, I'm going to put this link on again. Hopefully this. Definitely pressing the wrong button here. Anyway, hopefully that link will come up again to get the free account. Start talking to David or some of the guys there, and you'll be amazed how much money you can save. It's a simple process as well, isn't it? As far as you're concerned, and certainly from my side, if anybody's buying through us and using our services, for me, when I know that Currencies Direct have got the funds in place, I'm really happy. It makes my life so much easier, and that's how it should be. Okay, David, I think we've just about covered as much as we can. I know you're going to make a regular thing of this. Come again next month. Hopefully, we try and do these every 6 weeks or so. Any last things you want to add? Anything you want to add to what people should be thinking, or anything else?
No, just that I would have to say that in my experience of dealing with a lot of your clients, they've been absolutely delighted with the service that you've offered. And I can say from looking at your service behind the scenes, you're extremely proactive when it comes to looking after your clients. I can't tell you the amount of WhatsApp messages we've exchanged over time because, oh my goodness me, it's been quite a lot. And I think in terms of letting you know what's going on, I think I'm hoping that that's added value to your service as well, because it is excellent, and hopefully this is helping you diversify yourself from your competitors in the region, because I personally think you're a top-notch professional. Not just saying that because you refer me tons and tons of business, but just really happy with the relationship so far, and I'm very much invested in helping you and your clients out moving forward.
Brilliant. Really appreciate that. Really, really do. Thank you so much for giving up your time again. Good luck. What time's kick-off for you?
Well, so the starting lineup should be out right now. So hopefully, 3 o'clock, I believe it is. So 3 o'clock Eastern time or 2:45 Eastern time. But either way, I'm going to make a dash for that door and pour myself a nice glass of Italian red to calm the nerves. And hopefully, hopefully, if we're playing in Europe next year, if Newcastle make it and we get an Italian side, I might even pay you a visit.
Definitely.
There you go.
Okay, super. Well, good luck. And everybody watching this, please start to contact Currencies Direct straight away. Just wait for the kickoff time for Newcastle and ask for David Nixon constantly for the next couple of hours. Okay, David, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time, and I'll catch up with you really soon.
No worries at all. Take care, David. I appreciate having you on. Bye.
Okay, guys. So there you go. That's another session. Thank you so much for joining in. Hopefully you found that useful. I must say, he's a great person to deal with, and I think a lot of you know that I like to work with people that I trust. I really do. That's something that's so important to me. It's something as well that's made it a little bit difficult in our job of finding other agents up and down Italy that we can really trust and things like that. I've mentioned before, we do have somebody in Puglia now. La Marche, I'm meeting somebody next month. It's such a massive thing for me to be able to, hand on heart, say to you, you can deal with these people, and that's not saying that everybody's bad companies and all the rest of it, but it has to be right. It has to be right for me. and that way then I can comfortably speak to you guys about it. So as I said before, if you do want to set up an account, please use the link that's provided in the description below, which you should see on YouTube, and I think you'll see the link a few times that I've put on there. Set up the free account, get things rolling with this person, and start thinking about it, because it serious should be something that you think about, and you can potentially save thousands. And it's just there's more things I've learned tonight about the fact that all your money is insured and things like that. That's a huge thing, especially if you're sending over a certain amount, because the last thing you want is a bank going bust or something like that and losing out on the funds. That's the last thing anybody wants. So yeah, hopefully you will fill out the form online and set up an account with them and start working with them. They are really are an excellent company. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for your support. As usual, I will be putting some property video on. Hopefully it will be Saturday. The weather here has been horrendous recently, so I've not done as many videos as I wanted to do, but hopefully I'll have one for you on Saturday, and then we're going to be starting to release new videos starting from, I think we said, the beginning of June. We're going to have mini videos just going through certain aspects of buying and buying properties, the legal aspects and things like that. We're going to be doing sort of 5-10 minute videos, and then obviously going in depth on these Thursday night sessions. Thank you so much, and we'll see you again next Thursday.